Hey man, what it is? This is Deem, and I am your host, and this is By Any Means. There go to PayPal at Deem by any means. There go to Cash App, $ Deem by any means. You already know what I'm about to say. I don't care if you leave $2, $20, $200. Is much appreciated. But do me a favor, y'all. Hit that like button, please. Don't be eavesdropping. Don't be eavesdrop. You right there. You hit that like button. Don't be eavesdropping. Um, y'all, I Tank versus Frank, right? I ain't gotta tell y'all who I got winning, right? I'm pretty sure if you follow this channel, you follow my content, you already know who my favorite fighter is. You should already know who I have winning. So I shouldn't have to make a prediction on Tank versus Frank because y'all should already know what it is. But I would love to talk about it though, because guess what, y'all? It's time. Yes, it is. It's time for the real face of boxing to actually go out here and put on a performance and show you how to duck a left how to duck a left. Let's just say, okay. I am so excited for these two gentlemen. Y'all have no idea, man. I'm proud of Frank Martin, man, for being a dog. I'm a big fan of Frank Martin, man. He couldn't crack my top 10 favorite fighters, but Frank Martin is definitely in my top 15, top 20 favorite fighters, man. Up and coming guy, southpaw, just a dog, man, and somebody that I think got a lot of heart. But more importantly, man, I like Frank Martin as a person. I think Frank Martin is just a solid dude. I think Frank Martin is the type of dude you would want to be friends with. I think Frank Martin is the type of dude you would have around your circle. I just think that um he got a lot of good character about him. And that's something that I really respect about Frank Martin. And I watch his fights ever since I've been put on to him about a good 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I got put on to Frank Martin, and he just slowly but surely been easing up in likability and things that he was doing. I wasn't too happy with the Artem fight. Uh, but I was very proud of him how he finished it. And in life, it ain't always about how you start; it's about how you finish. Don't forget that. You feel what I'm saying? Gervonta Davis, y'all, has been my favorite fighter since my best friend, and that will not be named because certain things you keep personal. Um, he told me one day, y'all, and this was years ago. I'm talking about if my daughter is 12, we talking at least about that long or 10, a decade at least. You know what I mean? And I think it's been longer than that though, because when I seen Premier Boxing Champions, they channel and seeing some of the fights that they had a Tank on YouTube and that I know I saw, and I'm like, damn, I had to be watching them before that. So that's why I think it's even before, it might be longer than 9, 10 years. But anyway, man, my best friend told me, man, Deem, I got you a new favorite fighter. Now, my best friend, he loves boxing just as much. Some of the best hands of a dude that wasn't trained or anything. But it's kind of hard to say that he wasn't trained because his father and his grandfather was a Golden Glove boxer, I believe. His father was a great boxer around in Chester and things like that. And he never went professional or amateur or anything. But y'all know those guys who stayed in the gym was trained by boxers. They just didn't take that route because of the streets and certain things like that. So his dad was a big influence on us as far as growing up and things like that. As far as we watched every major fight, it hasn't been a major fight in the last 20 years, longer than that, 25 years, I say, that I haven't seen. It hasn't been not one. If it's been a major fight, it hasn't been not one that I haven't seen. So I come from a boxing family, I say, and he already know me, and don't nobody know you like the people that's around you, people that you've been friends with. And mind you, me and my best friend been friends for 20 years now. Going, yeah, 20 years. You know what I'm saying? 19, 20 years is why it's been about that. So he know me, and he knew instantly, man. And because to be honest with y'all, my man's, he put me on to a lot of fighters also. He just not somebody that's gonna have a YouTube channel, get on panels, he not doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he not doing none of that. But he loves boxing. And he already knew what I would think about Gervonta Davis the first time I ever saw him. And I can't even tell y'all who it was against. It was before Gervonta Davis was a name. This was before he even got with Floyd Mayweather or any of that stuff. So, um, just I mean the explosion, man. You know it when you see it. It pops off the screen, and I just think Frank Martin got to bring his hard hat, man, because I think a lot of the things that Frank Martin will present, Gervonta Davis has seen before. Gervonta Davis has sparred before. He's sparred Frank Martin. Um, so it's not going to be nothing that he hasn't seen, but them big lights, we don't know how Frank Martin is going to react to that. And I don't care what people say. Nothing, you going to a fight, you being in the back with Earl and all of that, ain't none of that going to prepare you for when it's you, though. You haven't been in the ring when it's you, the pressure that's mounting against somebody like Tank on top of that, where it's real danger in the other corner. And I've noticed that Gervonta Davis has been alluding that he's going to go to his body, because if Gervonta Davis has been watching Frank Martin, which I know he has, because it's why he was alluding about exposing his body. Frank is not and not saying that it's just Frank. This is 90% of boxers. Frank don't like you going to his body, man. Frank not feeling you going to his body, man. And you know that could be a problem, because as we know, Gervonta Davis just put somebody down from a body shot. Gervonta Davis is little. So at the end of the day, that's a big part of his game of breaking you down to the body, breaking you down, at the 3 levels of punching. If you don't know what the 3 levels of punching is, we are talking your stomach, your upper body, and of course, your head and everything like that. So it ain't too many fighters better in the sport of boxing than Gervonta Davis at that. And Gervonta Davis is one of the few fighters that he has a skill and a God-given ability that you just born with. It's not nothing that you can teach or work on or anything like that. Explosion and power and speed is just something that God gives you. You either have it or you don't. And it's going to be something that's hard for, I think, Frank Martin to combat. And I think this fight is going to look a lot like Hector Luis Garcia and Gervonta Davis. Remember, I said that. And I'm not the only one that thinks this, because I seen a lot of people when I was at Manager Marty channel the other day. A lot of them was saying the same things in the comments. So it ain't just me. But I see this fight being a lot like that, because Hector Luis Garcia does a lot of the things that Frank Martin does. Is he better at Frank Martin than it? No, I don't think he's as strong as Frank Martin, nor as fast as Frank Martin. And the thing I love about Frank Martin's patient. And he's going to have to be against Gervonta Davis. But I think that's something he naturally is. Not cautious. He's patient. There's a difference between being cautious. Cautious is what Shakur Stevenson was doing against De Los Santos. Patience is what Zhang was doing against Deontay Wilder. Okay? It's a difference. And I think that Frank is going to be able to expose Gervonta in a way as far as if Gervonta isn't more patient, that if Gervonta Davis sleeps or thinks he's going to get away with being undisciplined in any way during this fight, Frank Martin is going to expose that because of his speed, his discipline, his Frank Martin is one of the most fundamentally sound fighters in boxing. And that's what you get when you with Derrick James. That's what he teaches. That's what he harps on. That's what he wants you to do first and foremost. And I just respect that out of any trainer. So Frank Martin is not going to be in there making too many mistakes. Frank Martin actually might suffer from actually not trying to make mistakes. Similar problems that he had against Arthur, not being as aggressive. And I believe that Frank Martin has to come out balls to the wall immediately versus Tank, because Tank's not the biggest starter neither. But Tank can be. Tank used to be like that. He's adjusted over the last 5-6 fights of slowing down, being more patient. But go watch Tank early in his career. From ding ding, he was a pressure fighter, more Pitbull Cruz-esque than how he is now, more Terrence Crawford-esque in a fashion. So I just think that Frank got to really just stay down, man. Don't get nervous in there. Trust Derrick James' game plan. and he could make some things happen in there with Gervonta Davis if he could get Gervonta Davis thinking. But he got to be aggressive immediately. He can't go in there worrying about Tank that much, because when Tank got you worrying, when Tank got you thinking, you already lost the fight. I'm gonna say it again. When Tank got you worrying and Tank got you thinking, you already lost the fight, my guy. So, man, I'm just like I said, man, y'all like Dean, we've been having so much other narratives and things like that to talk about. But at the end of the day, Gervonta Davis don't need me to be jumping up and down and promoting his fight the way other fan bases may need their YouTube channels and things like that to do for them. Because I mean, the proof's in the pudding. The fight's basically sold out. I believe it is sold out. I think you got to get resale tickets at this point. It's already it's already successful. I think they've already probably reached a mark. They're doing the 18, $19 million gate. And that's I mean, that's astronomical. You dig what I'm saying? It ain't Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis, but it's pretty close. So I just think that Tank is not he's made for these moments, man. He's been having crowds around him. He's been able to adjust to not only what he does in the ring, but life outside of the ring. And I think we're gonna see the best Gervonta Davis we ever saw. I think when we lead this fight, people are going to is going to kind of be undeniable at this point. I think a lot of the Tank narratives and the hatred that he gets, I think will be a lot lesser after this fight, because I think what he go in there and does is going to be, undeniable. And I don't think nobody else from his weight classes on down is capable of putting quite on the performances that he's capable of doing. So I'm very happy to see this fight, man. I'm very proud of Frank. I think Frank going to lose, but at the end of the day, I'm just proud of the man. I think his career could still grow afterwards, especially if he take on a lot of them fights that already had kind of a storyline mixed in with him, with Frank Martin. And he could kind of build his career the way Rowley and Ryan Garcia and Pitbull Cruz, Mario Barrios, the list goes on. Jose Pedraza was able to do after losing to Gervonta Davis. So, but I just think that Gervonta Davis is something that you don't teach. It's not nothing. Talent is talent. It's undeniable, and it's a force to be reckoned with. It's not nothing that you could just stop. It's something that you actually literally have to deal with in real time. And I don't know. I don't think there's a fighter alive that's capable of doing that to Tank. I think he is the fighter that exposes everybody else. I don't think there's a fighter out there that can expose him. So y'all already know what this is, right? Dean, by any means. And I holla at y'all.